Hi there. Are you looking for a calm space to find in this turbulent world? Are you looking for more love, more peace, and more abundance in your life? Do you want to wake up each day with greater purpose and feel more fulfilled? If you are, then CSLNJ is the place for you. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey. Over the past 2 decades, our open and affirming community has created a safe space for all to come and be uplifted. I hope you enjoy watching. And if you like what you see, please visit us at cslnj.org.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. We are an open and affirming science of mind community where the vibration of love lifts you, the wisdom of the ages inspires you, and the science of mind teaching empowers you. We believe that heaven and hell are states of consciousness that we experience in this lifetime. And that you are the architect of your life, and it is never too late to know true happiness. So I welcome you here today. I am Michelle Wadley, and it's Memorial Day weekend, and everybody is out of town. But I'm so glad to be here and to be hosting. And so I know that the I am that I am is the same I am that exists at the heart of each of us, and that together we live from that I am, the I am that is connected to the universal love, the universal intelligence, the genius that created out of itself and created each of us. I declare on behalf of the Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey that this day is good and very good, that all who are in attendance are fed in the deepest and most profound way, and that those offering of their services are equally fed from the feeding. And I trust from this place of overflow that we will be left with, that we then turn around and benefit all who are around us. It is a holy and beautiful thing to accept this good and to allow it to flow through us and flow on. Let us accept the gift of intelligence, the gift of inspiration, the gift of love. Let us accept it, be it, express it, and know that we are truly deserving of this good and greater good. I let this word be so right here and right now, and so it is. All right. All right, let me get the chat. You're all gonna have to be a little patient with me because this whole cutting and pasting, putting in is my first time doing it. But I'm gonna trust myself here. And there you go. So join me, if you will, in reading the affirmation for this month of May. I confidently speak my truth and advocate for myself with clarity and strength. My boundaries are set with love and respect, fostering strong and supportive relationships. I honor my own needs while approaching others with love. Boundaries don't separate us, they create space for me to be my authentic, divine self, sharing in unity as unique expressions of God. With empathy and open communication, I move toward lasting peace. And so it is. All right. And I have a reading. I have a reading for you that's from the Science of Mind textbook on page 159 under Vitalizing Faith, in case any of you want to grab it and read along. In order to have faith, we must have a conviction that all is well. In order to keep faith, we must allow nothing to enter our thought which will weaken this conviction. Faith is built up from belief, acceptance, and trust. Whenever anything enters our thought which destroys, in any degree, one of these attitudes, to that extent, faith is weakened. Our mind must be steady in its conviction that our life is some part of God and that the Spirit is incarnated in us. Affirmations and denials are for the purpose of vitalizing faith, for the purpose of converting thought to a belief in spirit in things oh to a belief in things spiritual. The foundation for correct mental treatment is perfect God, perfect man, perfect being. Thought must be organized to fit this premise, and conclusions must be built on this premise. We must keep our faith vital, if we are to hope to successfully treat for ourselves or others. That was good. That was juicy. Thank you. Thank you, Ernest Holmes. And now a song from Lynette.
Oh, it's me already. All right. I thought
Yeah,
there
I
was a.
haven't been talking. I haven't added anything today. No padding.
Okay. Yeah. Hello, everybody. This we are the true blues that have shown up today on this Memorial Day weekend service, and of course we want to honor those that have been in the services and who have served in any way, and we honor and respect you and appreciate you and are filled with gratitude. So I want to start with that. And also, I want to mention that this Saturday is the next Artist Way group. I'm going to send an email to the core group, but for those of you who might be interested, we're going to talk about Julia Cameron's Artist Way book called The Listening Path, which is really, it's a 7-week class, and it's about listening to what life is trying to tell you, and from outside and from within. And every week you listen to a different way that life speaks to you. So it's wonderful. So I want to mention that. All right. And I know the thing you all want more than anything is the joke. I'm going to recycle an old joke because I happen to really like this joke a lot. And oh gosh, I hope you guys liked it too. Here it is. A bus driver is taking a group of sweet senior citizens on a day trip to Atlantic City. As they're heading down the highway about a half hour or so, a little old lady comes up front and taps the driver on the shoulder, and she offers him a handful of almonds, which he gratefully munches up. About 15 minutes later, she comes back to the front of the bus and taps him on the shoulder again and hands him another handful of almonds. And she repeats this gesture about 5 more times. And when she comes back yet again to hand him yet another batch of almonds, he asks the little old lady, "Why don't you just eat the almonds yourselves?" And she replied, "Oh, well, that's not possible because we can't chew the almonds with all of our dentures and old teeth." Well, he was puzzled. "Well, then why do you buy almonds if you can't eat them?" The old lady smiled sweetly and said, "Well, we buy them because we just love the chocolate around them." All right. I guess you guys liked it. I know it's gross. There's a gross factor to that. Okay, let us talk. So I originally was going to do this whole, I made all these notes about this great talk I was going to do about fear, and I had notes upon notes upon notes, and then it was like, wow, this is going to be like hours long. So I thought this is Memorial Day weekend. Let's just take this easy. And I looked to my bookshelf, and there's a book that I read actually every single day. One of the books that I read every single day and check out. And it's this wonderful book, Learning to Trust Yourself, Breaking Through the Blocks That Hold You Back by Tama Keeves. I'm sure many of you are familiar with Tama, and some of you may even have this book. It's a wonderful book. And this is the copy that I use. I wonder if you can see all the post-it notes, and oh my gosh, I love this book so much. I have a little shelf right there where I keep certain books that I read every day, and I read them in books like this right before meetings or to start my work day or whatever, just because they really help me refocus on what's important. And this is right there. There's only like 5 or 6 of those books, and this is one of them. And I read from it every day, and I'm going to read you in a minute. But I should mention, in full disclosure, that I worked with Tama on this book, and I happen to be mentioned in the book on page 315. You'll see my name right there. Oops, right there. So that's fun. And the other thing that you'll mention if you go to the website is you'll see this wonderful quote by somebody named Michelle Wadley, best-selling author of a book called Shadow Work, called What a Brilliant Concoction of Loving Support, Guidance, and Wisdom. In Tamakiev's book, Learning to Trust Yourself, she has identified a powerful formula that encourages the reader to tap into their inner wisdom, intuition, and personal power by learning to trust themselves like never before through personal inquiry. If you can read only one personal development book this year, let it be this one. Beautifully executed. Bravo, Tama. So it has Reverend Michelle's stamp of approval as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take you through a couple of the key points from this book. And because I think that they're so helpful, they're so inspirational, and I thought it would be fun for us to do on this holiday weekend. So in the book, this is really about learning to love yourself, as I mentioned. And she begins the book by saying something. I just have to find. What does she say? What the heck does she say? Here we go. Here it is. She says this. She said, your life purpose is to listen to your inner voice, but to listen to the voice of love inside your head instead of the voice of fear. And I thought that's a great kind of beginning to the book, because what she does in this book and what we do in our spiritual walk and in this community is we really work to identify the voice of our soul, the voice of the higher self within ourselves. And that's what we're going to talk about today. She says here, she said, life reflects back to us the conversation we have within ourselves. And listen to this. She said, all my life, I thought that if I could just set up the outside of my life to look a certain way, then I could bask in the sense of success, happiness, or being special. But I had the equation wrong. I fell for the backward, twisted promise we've all been sold. The right life will give you the right feeling. I'm seeing now that the right feeling awakens the right life. That's Science of Mind in a nutshell. And she says this, and this is why this is important for us to review and to talk about. She says, this much I know, I am the only person I will spend my entire lifetime with. Every single breath, every single day, maybe even for eternity. It's time to stop fighting with myself and weakening my own enthusiasm for my own life. It's time to start fighting for myself and the truth I know. And I love that, because I feel like we get a lot of voices around us that tell us what we're supposed to be. But when we become our own advocate for ourselves, then in a way that puts ourselves at the front and center, we move kind of beyond what the world would tell us to be and do, and to move into what is meant for us to do. She said, the choice is this: you can get in your own way, or you can discover your own way. And one of the interesting things I think she mentions is that self-trust, this whole idea of trusting yourself, is a path. It's a spiritual path. And she mentions in this book a number of blocks. There are 7 blocks to trusting yourself. And each one of the blocks, she says, that we have in our lives, we often will say that the blocks are preventing us from living our full life. But what she says in this book is every block that you perceive that you have in your life is actually a portal to the life that you wish that you had. Because what it's doing is it's pointing out something in you that you feel that you need, and you can go deeper and you can discover it. She says, when we change our belief about ourselves and our lives, we can do anything. You can use any circumstance to open your one wild and true path. And then in each of the chapters, she has exercises and quotes and practices and all this kind of stuff. And the book is kind of set up in using the language of A Course in Miracles, which says that there's only two things. There's love and there's fear. And only fear is real and only fear exists. Herein lies the peace of God. And so that's really the premise that this book starts with. Now, let me say this. She says an inspired life works when we move forward, not when we think about moving forward. There's a difference there. And the difference is taking action. And she's a real advocate, and I'm a real advocate, and I think we are in the center of not just kind of marinating thoughts, but to really take action, because one of the formulas that I learned in life early on is that I always waited for my energy to show up, and I always thought that when life changes itself for me, then I would feel the energy to do more. But actually, what I learned is it was the other way around. Energy follows action. And that became a mantra. In fact, I almost put it on a t-shirt about 10 or 15 years ago to wear around so that I would never forget. I've even thought about tattooing it here. Energy follows action. We take action first, and then the energy will come from that. She says this, we will never answer our questions before stepping into our adventure. It's the adventure that answers our questions. That's why I had to learn how to go from being a questioner to a quester, someone who undertakes the quest for her own answers. And I love that. So if you have the book, or even if you don't, you may want to get a pen and paper ready, because I'm going to read you what she calls the self-trust codes. And this is, for me, the best part of the book. It's worth the price of the entire book. I told Tama when I first read the full manuscript of this book, I said, wow, you've given us like 7 books in one. It's so chock full of information. But for me, the self-trust code is the whole thing. And I read it every single day. And I read it right before I go to work. And sometimes I will even pull it out if I have a really important meeting that I need to do, or if I'm feeling in any way charged or whatever about anything, whether it's work or family or anything. I pull out these self-trust codes and I read them, because they ground me and they remind me of the truth, which is what we teach in Science of Mind. And I'm going to go through them quickly. So if you have your pen and paper, that's great. And if you miss one, just type it in the chat, and I'll get back to you and put it in there. So the first thing she says is the right relationship to myself changes everything. And I like that, because what it talks about is the right relationship to myself. I, like most human beings, have a dysfunctional relationship with myself. I can tell myself negative things about myself. I can tell you more negative things about myself than you can tell about me. I don't care what any of you have to say. I could do more damage to myself. And I probably assume that many of you can relate to that. We can do more damage to ourselves than what anybody outside of ourselves can say. But she says it's the right relationship, which means that I have to scale up the ladder of consciousness to maybe the truth about myself, the higher truth, which we teach here in the Science of Mind. So that starts everything, the right relationship to myself. Number 2, I can hear the voice of self-genius when I stop listening to the voice of self-negation. Now, I won't ask for a show of hands, but if any of you have any self-critics inside of your mind, but I do. Yes, Ty raised his hand. We have this inner critic, or I'll speak for myself. I have an inner critic that will often tell me why I'm to this or not enough that. And much of that language I got from my past, and I got from my family or people around me. Julia Cameron calls this our inner critic. And she actually, so that she didn't identify so fully with the inner critic, she actually named the critic to give it its own personality. And she named it Nigel. And Nigel is this very persnickety guy who he's a interior decorator and he's a perfectionist. And Nigel shows up in Julia's mind and constantly is telling Julia why her thoughts and her ideas are never enough. They're never going to work. They're going to fail. But the paradox is if she doesn't do them, she's a failure for not doing those ideas that he just told her are going to fail anyway. So Nigel is an all-encompassing inner critic, and I can relate. I have my own inner Nigel. And what she says is that when we stop listening to that voice, then we can listen to the voice of self-genius. Number 3, I see more of what I look for. I focus on the evidence of abundance in my life. This is science of mind, very core principle. What you focus on grows. I remember it's not even woo-woo. I mean, there's a psychological principle that says if you begin to focus on any certain thing in life, you will begin to see it more. That's actually even common sense. I remember years ago, I used to teach a class at a center I was with at the time, and I would tell people that their homework assignment for that week was to focus on the word apple, A-P-P-L-E, apple. And they'd always say, well, what does that mean? And I'd say, well, you tell me. Next week when you come into class, you tell me. Just every day, I want you to ask life to show you apple, A-P-P-L-E. Off they went. And every day they started their day by saying, life, show me apple. The following week, when people came to class, the stories to every person in class were amazing. One guy said, I thought you were crazy, but I said, life, show me apple. And he said, I sat there in my meditation and I said, okay, apple, I'm going to meditate on apple. He said, when I was done with my meditation, he lived in Manhattan in a high rise. He opened his curtains or his blinds, that looked out on his little patio. And across the road from his view in his apartment was another high-rise apartment. You know how in Manhattan, they sometimes put ads on the side of buildings. They were putting an ad that morning, and the picture of the ad, the main picture in the ad was of an apple, a giant apple. So as he opened his curtains, his view was a giant apple. Another person went to his desk one day and somebody had just left an apple for him as a nice, sweet gift for him to have that day. Somebody else was gifted an Apple computer that week. Now, there's no woo-woo involved in this. It's not like they thought of Apple and the universe said, poof, like Bewitched, with her, Samantha with her nose, the twinkle, twinkle, and the apples showed. But what it means is that if those apples may have shown up, that apple may have showed up in that ad across the street, but if we don't focus on it, we don't even notice it. So what this is saying, this principle says is start noticing, start choosing what you want to see more of in your life, and you will see more of it. All right, number 4, when I love all that is in front of me, everything comes to me. This is a deep principle, which is rooted in the teaching that we teach. In fact, it's the core principle that we teach in Science of Mind, which is oneness. There's not us and something else. There's not good and then something else. When we draw the circle, everything goes in it, everything. Whether we judge it on its appearance as good or bad, everything goes in the circle. And when we do that, then what we do is, even if it's something that is difficult to understand is there for life's purpose, we don't always have the bird's eye view to see what the purpose it serves is. And I wrote this one day when I was thinking about this, I wrote this in the margin about that because I wasn't loving the thing that was in front of me. I was having a difficult relationship with a family member. I don't know if any of you can relate to that. Maybe you all have perfect, harmonious families, like that TV show, 8 is Enough. Everybody got along and loved each other every single week. There were no problems whatsoever. That is not true always in my family. And I clearly did not love the discord that was happening. So I was thinking about this, and what I wrote in the sidelines of the book is, if I can't love the thing, I include it anyway in my circle of love and love what it teaches me. So then I reflected back on this discord with a family member, and I realized it taught me so much about myself, about what I'm willing to stand up for myself, and what I'm willing to believe about myself. And in the end, that discord became a beloved teacher. So while I didn't love the experience, I love what the experience gifted me. So that's number 4. Number 5, I give up the thoughts of where I think I should be. I'm on a journey that's never been lived before. And I'm going to add another one of her self-trust codes in that. I give myself permission to be in process. Clarity comes from process. I like this because it lets ourselves off the hook sometimes of trying to have to fit in or be perfect or whatever. At times we have to just stop and say, wait a second, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm in process of becoming to that place. What a wonderful way that we can embrace and self-love ourselves is by loving ourselves where we are. There's that beautiful saying that I hear often in our centers, which is, I love myself exactly as I am and exactly who I am becoming. And that's what this is telling us. Next, I craft my perspective because my perspective becomes my world. That ties into what we talked about with the apple. And it is what we teach in Science of Mind. In fact, one of the very first nights that I ever went to a Science of Mind class, one of the things they said, and I've heard this a million times since in our classes, which is, we don't teach you what to think, we teach you how to think. And that is important because how we perceive our life is how we experience our life. Okay. Let's see. Number 8, my desires are holy. I have them for a reason. I follow my breadcrumbs. My desires are holy. I have them for a reason. I follow my breadcrumbs. What that means to me is that the things that excite us, that entice us, that fill us with joy and excitement are there for a reason, and they're there for us to follow. And when she mentioned the thing about breadcrumbs, I love that because it means that we don't have to see the entire journey in front of us before we start it. All we need to do is take the next step. What is the next breadcrumb in front of us? And let's just take that step and go forward. Let me tell you a story. I used to tell this in my classes. So some of you may have heard this years ago, but it was a class that I used to teach. And what we talked about in the class is that life is for you. And if you set something forth that you want in life, and you set that kind of line in the sand and say, okay, from this point on, I'm going to believe that the thing that I want is coming to me, and that every single thing that happens from this moment on is part of the unfolding of that thing happening to me. It's incredibly powerful, and it's a great way to go through life. And I was teaching that in class, and a woman, she had said that what she wanted to do, her desire was to become a jewelry designer. But what she desired, her first desire was that she wanted to be able to pay her bills, and she wished her art could support herself in paying her bills. That's a big thing for a lot of us. And I said, okay, well, if that's it, then, what we're teaching is that if that's your line in the sand, that that's what you want, then from this point forward, everything is going to conspire to make that happen. And she said, I don't believe you. And I said, well, it's not up to me. This is life. This is a life lesson, a life law of life. And she said, okay. I said, are you willing to believe it? She said, I'm willing to believe it for 1 week. I'll give you till next week's class. I will believe it for 1 week. And I said, okay, life can work with that. And she said, I'm going to believe you for 1 week. And I said, don't believe me, believe life. It ain't up to me. It's up to life. She said, okay. And she said, from this point forward, that is my desire, and I'm going to believe it. She left the class. This was in New York City, in Manhattan. And she went downstairs. A few minutes later, she comes back into the class and she was furious. And she said, oh, here you are talking about life supporting me with my art and giving me, blessing me with abundance. And I went downstairs and my car has one of those, what are those things called on it that they put on like a, when it's a, a thing that holds the car. So because the car shouldn't be parked there.
Boot.
I can't.
A boot?
A boot. Thank you. A boot. Her car had a boot on it. And she said, here's how good your theory is, your boot. I have a car in the boot, and now I have to pay several $100s. It had a flyer on there, what she had to do next and how much money it was going to cost her. And she said, now here's where your theory just went wrong. I believed you. And now you're telling me that this is part of my good. And I said, just trust it. Just trust life. Just trust life. I don't know how this is good, but let's call it good. And she said, I'm going to give you this 1 week. So because her car was in a boot, she couldn't drive home. So she had to take the subway back to her home, which was, I believe, in Queens. She gets on the subway, furious. And she sits down and somebody calls her name. Let's call her Leslie. And somebody says, Leslie, is that you? And she looked over and she's like, oh, it's somebody who used to live in the same building as her in Queens. He said, oh, I'm so happy to see you again. And they started to catch up. And he goes, I was thinking about you just the other day. And she said, you were? And he said, yeah, because you make jewelry, right? And she said, well, yeah. And she was about to say to herself, to him, I used to make it. But she thought, no, I'm trusting life. And she goes, yeah, I'm a jewelry designer. And he goes, oh, that's great. I used to love your stuff. And he goes, it's my girlfriend's birthday this week, and I need to get her something. And I thought your jewelry would be perfect for her. Do you have any jewelry for sale? And she said, well, yeah, I have a few. And he goes, what do you have? And she goes, well, I actually have a couple pieces in my purse. And she pulled one out. And he said, that's perfect for her. And he bought it. And of course, you know the next part of the story. How much did he pay for it? The exact amount that it cost to get her car, the boot off of her car. She was so excited to come back the next week. And she said, I was not even going to give you more than 24 hours, to be honest. And she goes, but it didn't even take 24 hours. And she ended up becoming a successful jewelry maker. So that one, to me, the desires are holy, follow the breadcrumbs. Believe that life is working for you despite the circumstances around you. And you open yourself up to things, to life, to ways that are open for you. Next, let's see, trying to read it here, a small print. If there is something here for me, I wouldn't be here. No, sorry, if there wasn't something here for me, I wouldn't be here. Magic is always where I am. This is a radical teaching. This is a radical teaching because we are always told by the media, by advertising, by social media, by people around us that we shouldn't be where we are. We should be further along. We should be someplace else. We should live in a bigger place. We should be more successful or whatever. But life tells us wherever you are, it doesn't matter where you are. The magic is wherever you are, right there. And when you are done with the place you're in, you will go to another place, the next place. It's like the old video games, Pac-Man or Ms. Pac-Man, if you remember, for those of us old enough to remember those video games, when you stand there and you put your quarters on the side because you wanted to put your place in line for the video game, and you'd put your quarter there, and then when it was your turn, you'd put your quarter in. And with Pac-Man, you would always have to worry about the little devil Pac-Man that was following you, and you had to try to escape it. And if you escaped it and got all of the prizes, you'd magically go to the next level. In a sense, what this is saying is the same thing, which is when we stop trying to say, I should be at different levels and just be in the level that we're at, be in the place that we're at, and just find the treasures that we're at, then what happens is when we're done with the treasures and ready for something new, the new life evolves for us. And it's so interesting too, because the metaphor of the little uh, mean Pac-Mans that try to eat you up in that level, we have those in our lives, those things that we think prevent us from going to the next level. But the truth is, when we stop and we say, and we can't do that in Pac-Man, but in life we can do this. And when we say to those things and we say, what are you here to teach me? That's the fast way actually of going to the next level. When we stop and say to the thing that we think is preventing us, the blocks that are preventing us from moving to the next place, and say, what are you here to teach me? And we learn that lesson, then we magically, the video game field goes right to the next level and we move forward in life. Number 12, I have a trajectory and something always works. Something always works. This is interesting because I've taught many classes over the years, and one of the things that gets in people's way, including myself, I'll put myself in this, that gets in our way, is we say that we will do something if we only know how it's going to work out for us. I will move forward with this. I will take the risk if I know how it's going to happen for us. But life doesn't work that way. And life says, take the leap first, and then you will discover the how. And she actually has a great, on page 140 of the book, she actually has this great practice, this exercise to help us with it, with this idea of how, getting rid of the how. And she calls it burning down the hows, H-O-W-S, burning down the hows. She says, share with a friend or in your journal, if money weren't an issue, what would you love to do? Talk only about what you desire, not what you can't have. Feed the heat. Do not figure out how to make anything happen. This is an exercise in building energy. And I love that so much because rather than figuring out how anything can happen, it's the idea of what brings you the heat in life. And then from there, you can make an action forward. All right, the last ones are these. 13, I go beyond casual belief. I end the weakness of waffling. I leap. Wow. I'm going to, this is a special alert. This is a moment in history. I'm going to, for the first time in my life, use a sports metaphor. If you're all ready for it. Life is on the field, not on the sidelines. All right, that's it. That's the end of my sports metaphor, and I don't even know what sport I'm talking about. But the idea is life happens when you actually are on the field playing, rather than on the sidelines criticizing or being hesitant or afraid to play. And that's what that is stop waffling. Just take the risk. You don't have to take the biggest risk. You don't have to quit your job. You don't have to sell your house. You don't have to move to Albania. You can just start where you are and take one risk and just go from there. See what happens. And whatever happens, know that like the woman with who's the jewelry, whose car was had the boot on the tire, whatever happens is happening for your good, whether you see it or not. Okay, number 4, there's 2 more, 14 and 15. 14, all sports are done in action and are on a field. Oh, good, thank you. So that was an all-purpose, thank you, Alfred. That's an all-purpose sports metaphor. And I'm glad I did it right. Okay, 14 and 15. 14 is the one I tend to read the most, by the way, every single day. It's the one that charges me the most. And it's 4 little statements. I show up. I slow down. I stop resisting difficulty. I move beyond my history. That one always gets me. I show up. Showing up doesn't mean just necessarily in person, although it means that as well, but it means consciously. I show up. I slow down. This is a big one in my world. I don't know if this affects you guys, everyone in the same way, but I suspect it does, since you're listening to these words. That life always that it feels like people around me, especially in my job, always want me to move at a certain pace and rhythm. And when I put myself in that, I feel like I'm a hamster on the wheel. It's like, whoa, and I don't even take the time to think about things. But it says I slow down. And what that means to me is I stop and I go at my rhythm because I've learned something. I'm 59 years old. I've learned something finally in my life, which is when I go at my rhythm, I am at my most effective. When I go at other people's rhythm, I'm always trying to catch up, or they either move too fast or too slow or whatever, and it never works for me. But when I go myself at my rhythm, I can shine. I can move mountains at my rhythm. And my rhythm changes throughout the day and throughout my life. So if I show up and I listen to what my rhythm is, then I can be effective. I stop resisting difficulty. Oh, I don't know about you, but sometimes when difficult things come up, I have my escape valves. I go on Amazon or another site and I start shopping, and that feels great. It's a great way to avoid things. Or I get snacks. It's like, ooh, the snacks can keep me from feeling these things or whatever. I find all these great workarounds to difficult things. But I learned years ago the paradox of difficult things is this: the more I resist doing difficult things, the more difficult those things become. Oh my gosh. So now, do you guys remember that TV show, The Andy Griffith Show, with Andy Griffith and his first lieutenant or whatever he was, Barney Fife? This is one of those silly things, but it makes me laugh every time I think of it. So when I have to do something that's really difficult, I think to myself this. And I think of Barney Fife saying this in the show: nip it in the bud. He used to always say that in the show, and he was so funny the way he said it. It makes me laugh thinking of it, and I like that energy. So when I have to do something difficult, sometimes I think of Barney Fife saying to me, "Nip it in the bud." In other words, get it done now. Don't wait. Don't make it harder. Just nip it in the bud and do it now. I looked once online, by the way. There are T-shirts of a picture of Barney Fife saying "nip it in the bud," which is very funny. And then the last part of that one is I move beyond my history. Oh my gosh. You know, uh, we have a history of what people thought we should be, told us we should be, told us who we shouldn't be, what we should do, what we shouldn't do, what we're good at, what we're not good, etc. And one of the notes that I wrote in this book a while back is, who could you be if you allowed yourself the freedom to go beyond who you always thought you should be? Who could you be if you allowed yourself the freedom to go beyond who you thought you always should be? Wow, if we just stay in the present moment, if we do the one right above it, show up, go at our own rhythm, and then follow those breadcrumbs, who could you be? I've done things that I never thought I would do in my life by just following those breadcrumbs. And then I turn around and think, who was that? I was never supposed to be that person. And when we allow ourselves the freedom to do that, and then I've also been the other side of that, which is I've stopped myself from doing things that I look back and I think, oh, I really wished I would have done that. The true tragedy in life are the things not that we do, it's the things that we don't do. So who could you be if you allowed yourself to do the things that you could do? Finally, the last one she has here is, I side with my inner light. I side with who I know I can be, and I dismiss all other possibilities. What a beautiful way to go through life. What if you went through life with just that as your mantra? I side with my light. You get into a situation where there's difficult and you say, no, 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 no. I side with my light and I dismiss all other possibilities. What would happen? You wouldn't go into situations and think, how does this affect me? You go into situations and you think, I am the light, and what can I bring to this situation? That is powerful. That is a way to go through life in a way that is on the spiritual path. We are not the victims then. We become the bright, shining lights that others can see. And in fact, she has here at the very end um, extra credit. And I was always the kid that wanted the extra credit. And she said, the extra credit is this: I choose to be a presence of love. I bring the frequency of goodwill into every room I enter. That's what I wish for us. And for me, that's what this self-trust codes are all about, which is about trusting ourselves, trusting the journey, trusting life, living in the oneness, living the things that the science of mind teaches us all the time, which is to be in that place, that highest place that we can be at any given moment, and to show up and to live from the rhythm of life, not the rhythm of fear, not the rhythm of competition, not the rhythm of criticism or any of those things, but the rhythm of the life that is within each one of us. That is learning to trust ourselves. That's a beautiful way to go through life. And let's just take this and embody it. And if you will close your eyes and let's just bring it into truth, into our lives right here and now. Let's move into that place of oneness, that highest place within us. We always, always have choice of the vibration that we wish to choose to live from. So right now, we choose to live from the highest vibration we can at this moment. And I've noticed that at the highest vibration, we can breathe. So let's breathe that in. Let's breathe that light and love. And know that we are one with that light and love that is within us. This isn't some place far away. It's right here, wherever you are, right now, not in the past, not in the future, but in this moment. And it is in this moment, at this higher frequency, that right now we can just let go of any criticism. We can let go of what we think we should do or who we should be, and instead just let ourselves be the light that life created us to be. We are that manifestation of spirit. We are created on purpose and for a purpose. That's who we are. And so right now we just know and affirm that for ourselves. I know and affirm it for everyone listening to these words, that life moves powerfully. And we don't have to say, life, show us an apple. We can say, life, show us more life. And let's attune to that so that every day we are grounded in truth and open to life showing itself more in our own life. Follow those breadcrumbs. Move forward. Take action. Yes, we say yes to this, and we allow this to be our truth right here and right now. It's such a I'm filled with gratitude to just know that this is true for myself and for all who are hearing these words, and for those that we even picture in front of ourselves. Let's just include everyone we can in this beautiful life and light. And with this grateful, grateful heart, I move these words into love and into law, knowing that it lovingly comes into fruition where we are, effortlessly, right here and right now. And together we say, and so it is.
Oh, yummy. Thank you. Thank you, Lynette. Thank you, Reverend Joel. Thank you. I know everyone sucked up all those notes and the messages and all of that. It was so good. Thank you. And so, for those of you who are remain here, let us together read the offering affirmation that we have here, which is, I bless this gift that I give today. I give this gift from my heart, and I give it mindfully. May my gift go further to heal, prosper, and bless this center and all who enter. I accept all good that comes as a result of this flow, knowing that it returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is. Thank you. And since we are all familiar faces, I know that you all know the many ways in which you can give to the center, and easier than when I was the head of the snake. I can say that whatever you're doing with the center, please always include it in your giving. And because it keeps the gears working, and these stunning musicians as Lynette and Ty and Joel and everyone is bringing you messages. So you keep the gears turning through your generosity. And so I just encourage you to continue to do that. We will be open and in person next week. And actually, they have a friend of mine, Eugene Holden, will be here. And some of you know Eugene he's been here years ago. Some classes that we have happening are with Reverend Neil is doing a class, and it seems like you have loved these classes that he teaches on immortality, and all these conversations he facilitates have been very vital. So it's immortality, eternality, life, and physical death. Let's talk about all the life and learn to not live it in fear. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop that whole thing into the chat so that if you have interest in participating, you can grab that URL right there. Folks, we went to see a movie about Bob Dylan. And I came home from that movie and I said to Neil, we have to have a peace concert. I am committed to knowing that we are going to have a full house. I'm going to go past the illusion of not enough tickets, and I'm going to know that you all show up, that you bring a friend or two or family member. It is not going to be religious. This is going to be singing, 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 singing. The joy of singing. So please come and join us, and remember what it's like to when I was here the other day with my friend, and we put on a radio station on Pandora, and the radio, I asked for a Cat Stevens station, and everything that unfolded was from the 60s and all of that afterward. And we were sitting here singing out loud and just having a stupid good time. Music is healing. Music is healing. The vibration of music is healing. So I encourage you not only to be here on Sunday to drink and our musicians, but to consistently at home reach for their music. Especially, I don't know that you have anything recorded, Lynette, but of course Ty does. Do you have recorded music, Lynette?
You know what? I have some. I have a SoundCloud. I'm on YouTube. I have some clips from on my website, which is
I want you to see if you
LynetteLive.com.
grab something and put it in the chat. That would be great. And then lastly is a course that I'm teaching that you've been teaching it for years. Yes, some of you have taken it, not everybody though. And I want you to know that any class that I teach that play where I play with CSL and J, they always benefit financially. I make sure that they benefit financially. But for the forgiveness course, I wish the reprint of the book was out. I really do wish it was already in my hot little hands. However, this is one of my flagship programs and passions, which is it butts right up to the shadow work. So join me, join me. We make payment plans for people. How do you know if you need it? And the teachers that teach forgiveness say, Are you breathing? Because if you're breathing, you need to practice forgiveness. So that's it for today for what's going on. If you have not if you've not signed up for the WhatsApp for the CSL&J members, I encourage you to do that. It's a lovely way to ask for support and give support. If you're not on there, you might not know that our beloved Jean Scheid, her mom, passed away just a couple of days ago. So, they're dealing with that process right now. And I was able to put it in WhatsApp, and we're able to help each other and support each other and love on each other. It's just a great way to get together. So I hope you have some wonderful plans for the rest of this weekend for yourself. And we have a closing song with Lynette. And Reverend Neil is in Texas having a great time with his family. So he appreciates that we're all here, and he's just busy having a lovely time being surrounded by his grandchildren. So thank you everyone for being here and for what a good day this was. Thank you. We'll see you all next week. Have a
At the Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, we believe in empowering individuals to discover their inner strength and their connection to divine life. Through our supportive community, transformative workshops, and uplifting services, we provide a safe space for personal growth and spiritual exploration. Whether you're seeking clarity, healing, or a deeper understanding of life's mysteries, our center offers practical tools and timeless wisdom to help you thrive. Join us in creating a more diverse, compassionate, and kind world. Your world, the way you want to create it.